What's up, dude?
Landon, my dude, how are you, man?
I'm very good. Just keeping busy. I've been home for like 3 weeks now, so
That's a
still trying to
record
get
for
in the
you,
group.
right?
Yeah, dude. Oh my God. We've been gone so much the last 2 years. I don't really know what home feels like.
Johnny and I have discussed this. Also, he apologizes for not being here, but he has to actually
Oh,
work
it's all
and do
good.
his job.
No worries.
We talked about this a while ago. You seem to be maybe the busiest man in the heavy space at the moment. What with non-stop touring, writing your own stuff, and then writing with other people and producing.
Yeah.
Are you burnt out at all?
Uh, I can actually admit, yes. I think, well, okay, so this spring I'm kind of taking a break. Like I said no to like a lot of projects that I was asked to do, so I can finally like breathe and like feel what it's like to be at home again. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's been nice. But I'm already like starting to get that itch to like start doing things again. So I find myself still sneaking off to the studio like
Okay.
late at night and just trying to do stuff. I've got a couple things I'm working on still because I can't not do anything. But
Yeah.
I've like lightened the workload quite a bit. So
I
yeah,
feel like that's probably a good thing though, because you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it because you actually want to do it, not because you're forced to do it or you've got like time constraints to
exactly.
do it.
And that's where I feel like I find my like my coolest things. You know what I mean? Like whenever it's not because I have to do it, it's because I genuinely want to do it. That typically is when some of the coolest stuff happens. So yeah,
Yeah.
but it's been great. We have like our longest break in probably years. I think we've got like 5 months off, so I'm just chilling.
Damn. With
Yeah,
that said, though, at the end of that 5 months, you're just straight back into the swing of things with
yeah.
intensity. Like you've got a whole bunch of festivals you got, and then start headlining stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like over the spring and summer, we have like a couple of like festival things. But yeah, starting September, I'm like pretty much gone till the end of the year, and then a little bit into the next year. So
And
it's going to
that's
be
where we
hectic.
get you over here. So that's pretty nice
Yeah,
for us.
yeah. I'm stoked. I'll at least have a little break before that, like for Christmas and all that stuff. So that'll be
Okay, cool.
nice. I'll feel refreshed. Yeah.
How hard is that from like a family perspective of like knowing I'm gone for 3 months? That's going to be like, that's just what it
It's
is.
hard. Like, yeah, I can't. I feel like it's harder for me than than anybody. I genuinely just I get really depressed and like anxious when I'm on tour for too long
Yeah.
because like I really love my alone time. I'm like very introverted, and when I don't get that for long periods of time, it just like I start to implode. So, I mean, luckily these days it's been easier because we're on a bus, so we can all spread out a little bit more,
Sure.
and I can set up like a workstation and all that. That's definitely helped a lot. But uh, yeah, my, I mean, my wife doesn't love it, but she can always come out whenever she wants to, and hang out for a couple days. But yeah, aside from that, my like family is so used to it. I've been touring for almost 17 years now that this is just normal. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
sure.
I'm just I miss all the birthdays and all
It's just expected that you're
the
not going to be
things.
there.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, they barely know me anymore. So
Oh, still, that's rough. So have you got like any like tricks or tips or like have you got communication with the other guys in the band that they know being like, cool, he needs this downtime, let him go do his thing now? What do you do to set
yeah,
yourself up to get out of that headspace? Because once you like start spiraling, it's pretty hard to get back from that.
yeah. Um, I feel like for me, it's just like escaping for like a day or two. You know what I mean? Like I'll go get my own hotel or something like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, they can pretty much at this point they can read me like a book. They can tell like, okay, we're not even going to talk to him today. We're just going to let
Yeah.
him do his own thing. And I'm not like a dick about it or anything, but I feel like it's pretty obvious when I'm just not in the mood to like do the typical hangout day. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, which I really respect. That I'm glad that they can see that and like respect it. But yeah, it can be hard. It's just you just gotta have a lot of intention, with your day and your mood and stuff like that. Like, because yeah, like you said, you can you can go down a dark path with it if you allow it to get bad. So
The
I know the things
only
that make
you guys sorry.
I know the things that make me happy. And some days you just don't feel like doing those things just because you feel down. But it's just really important for me, at least, to force myself to do the things that I know will kind of get me out of a bad headspace. So
Is that
yeah,
something you've learned with time, being like, just do the thing that's going to get you there rather than avoiding it?
of course. Yeah. Like usually I need to do something physical, at least like once a day. I need to like, even if it's just like taking a walk around a couple blocks or something like that.
Yeah.
I know, even though most days I don't feel like doing that, that's something I just like have to do.
Yeah.
And
That's such an
it's
interesting
always
thing. I've
worth it.
always explained that with Johnny when we've like traveled and done stuff, being like, I've got my
Yeah.
routine down of like, I know what I need to do to get me in the right headspace. Like,
Yeah.
if I travel, I need to train. I need to do something like exert
Oh, of course.
energy,
Yeah.
even when I don't feel like it, because I know that like the endorphins and the positive stuff that comes from it, I'm like just a more pleasant
Yeah.
person to be around because of it, even when you
Totally.
don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
It's so important. Like, yeah. And that, and like, just being creative, like I feel like that can even be harder some days because some days you just sit down and you're like, I don't even want to be here right now. Like, but I know as soon as I get in that creative flow, it's just like everything, time goes out the window.
Yeah,
Whatever mood I was in goes out the window, and I'm centered again.
that's
So
cool. From a
it's very
creative
intense. You just,
perspective, you've been able to kind of collaborate with a lot of different people in the last couple of years and contribute in a lot of
yeah.
different ways. Is there, like you said, you've had to turn down a few projects just for your own like
Mhm.
mental well-being? Has
Yeah.
there been anything that you've done that's been like, wow, that was a much bigger challenge than I expected to be?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every band I work with is like a brand new thing. It's never the same thing twice. Every
Sure.
band has their own dynamic. Sometimes it's like the biggest problem with the band is it's hard to get them to be serious, and that's actually like that's fun. Like
Yeah.
the energy is just so good, and everyone's hanging out and having such a great time. Like the hardest thing to do is actually just get something done. But then other bands are so serious that it's like I feel like if I even go pee for too long, then I'm like wasting their time. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those are like the two extremes of the two sides. But I mean, for the most part, it's somewhere in the middle. But yeah, I mean, I feel like every band I work with, I learn something new. Like because everybody has a different creative process. But yeah, I feel like I'm really glad I did overdo it last year and the year before that, just because like I feel like I learned so much, like 10 years worth of knowledge in 2 years. You know what I mean? Just by not stopping, just
Yeah.
keeping the engine going. Like, um, even when it comes to just like starting ideas and like finding inspiration from like crazy things that I never would have thought of before. Because everyone has their different things. So yeah, it's cool. I've been enjoying it.
I guess you have to like throw yourself in the deep end and just like learn how to swim sometimes. If otherwise,
I, that yeah, actually that in itself too, just the act of like working with a new band like that, it can be kind of scary, and it really was like the first year. But now I'm like that fear of jumping in now is like almost completely gone.
it
And
also
like, I
kind of
mean,
makes it exciting, right?
it does, yeah. It really does. But yeah, you kind of learn ways of like because you never know where inspiration is going to come from. But I've like developed tricks to kind of at least like ignite the flame a little bit.
Yeah, cool.
Um, and that's an actual skill that I feel like I learned. Which is that's priceless. So it's sick.
I think that's something that's maybe a misconceived or misconstrued is like creativity is something that you don't just necessarily have. You have to work at it sometimes. You have to like
Oh, absolutely.
have your own little tips and tricks, as you said, to find
Yep.
creativity because you're not just going to have like an endless source of inspiration there to be like, and now let's do this thing. You have to like
Yep.
find new ways of doing it. How much of
Exactly.
it comes from the artists you work with come to you being like, this is what we want to do, you shape it, or do they come to you being like, we know what you do, what can you do with us?
It's everything and every like it's all across the spectrum. Like I'll have some bands come in with literally nothing, like no ideas whatsoever, and then it's kind of just my job to get the ball rolling on something.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll have bands come in with like almost completely done songs. But I find I like it kind of somewhere in the middle. Like I like there to be at least like something to go off of. That's why what I've been doing lately is the day or two before the band comes in, I'll just like sit down and try to riff out like three starter ideas or even
Sure.
just three like samples or chord progressions that I think are cool. That way, if they come in, there's literally nothing, then I can just be like, okay, well, I have a couple sparks. Do you like any of these or any parts of any of these? And then we can kind of go from there. That's
Yeah,
been
okay.
kind of my go-to lately. But yeah, I really like whenever bands come in with at least like a nugget of an idea, even if it's just like a concept for a song. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like, or
Yeah.
just an emotion that they want to convey or something like that. But I don't know. I can find entertainment in pretty much any scenario, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But usually, and I've been fortunate. Like almost, actually, every single band I've worked with has been so cool. They're just all like really easygoing, kind, funny people. So it's like I haven't really had to deal with egos or any bullshit like that
I'm going
in
to
a
put that
long
back
time,
on
at least.
you. I think that's partly your personality, like that brings it out in them. And I think that's what the reason why you would have so much success. I'm sure you would never say this because it sounds very arrogant, but like you have an ability to make people comfortable and bring out the best in them. So you're going to get the best of those bands, whether they are those people underneath or not. I feel like there's a reason they come to you because they can see that in you and you're going to bring that out in them. So,
Well, I appreciate you saying that.
of
I
course,
hope
man.
there's some truth to that.
Hell yeah. How
Yeah.
hard is it? Because with plot, you don't have like a sound. There's no like, this is the one thing that we do and this is how we sound. How hard is it, or how
Mhm.
often do you find yourself writing stuff and being like, oh, this stuff needs to be for plot, or this can be for someone else? And
Yeah.
how do you find that middle line there?
Well, I kind of don't. I fucked up many times and have given bands songs that I started writing it for plot, and then I would picture like a different vocalist from a different band that I knew I was going to work with. I was like, oh, I can see them doing something cool over that. And then I give it to them, and then I show like somebody from my band like the idea, and they're like, "Why did you give that away?
Yeah.
You're an idiot." That has happened so many times. Um,
Have
it
you got an
actually happened
example?
very um, fuck, I don't know if I can say. Yeah, I don't think they would care. There's a song by that band Acres. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
There's a song on their new record that I wrote. I would say like 80 to 90% of it while I was on tour. So my band was actually hearing me write it in real time, and
You're like, we
then
can't wait to do
they
this.
they came in the studio and I was like, fuck, I really feel like Ben could do a really good job over this. So I was like, just like gave it to him just to play with. And then it turned out so cool. And then they were like, they actually heard them play it on the last tour. They were like, that's that song that you were working on for us. I was like, yeah, I gave it away in there. They weren't like, it was like funny mad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it happens. And then on the flip side of that, it's also happened where I've written something for another band and I became too attached to it and I just had to kind of
Sure.
like keep it for myself. But usually that's before they get the chance to hear it. It's only happened maybe 3 or 4 times where they had actually heard the song and then I had to be like, I'm so sorry, I have to keep this for myself.
We worked on it, but you're not good enough for this, so I'm doing this myself.
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but yeah, I try to be way more careful about that now.
Sure.
I
Yeah,
try to
there's
get ahead of
politics
it.
to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the last few things you've done, yeah, we've never made shy of the fact that like we're such fans of you as a person. We love you as a dude and as a
I
friend, but
appreciate
also
it.
as an artist. Like we are endlessly inspired by what you put out as plot and as your own solo stuff.
Thanks,
How
man.
was the decision making process to go into the last few releases as EPs? Like you and I talked about it, not on camera. I think the last time you were out here
Mm-hmm.
about doing just like the EP releases as opposed to an
Mm-hmm.
album. Have you found that to be a freeing experience? Because I think we talked about it before you'd even released the first EP last time. So you just released a single, maybe Forgotten might have been out.
Yeah, maybe.
Has the
Yeah,
response to
dude,
that been what you want it to be?
1,000%, like
Okay.
more than I could have ever have imagined. And I think the fact that they even let me try the idea, like, because I had been advocating for it for so long, the fact that they like finally just let me do it, I was like, I have to prove a point now. Like, I have to make this the best thing I can possibly make to prove, like, okay, this works for Landon. Like, if he wants to do things this way, then we'll just let him do his thing. So yeah, I went above and beyond. Worked really, really hard on the songs, and also like just having the space in between tours and like just months of time. You know what I mean? Like that was just so nice for me because yeah, usually when I'm working on a record, it's like you have this set amount of time to do this. And then
Yeah.
if you don't finish it, then you're going to be on tour for months and you're not going to be able to work on it. You know what I mean? So being able to split it up, I got to come back to it when I felt like coming back to it.
Cool.
And I got to, and, you know, on months where I was on tour or traveling or doing whatever, it was like, I got to come back to those songs like every couple days, weeks, whatever, and just like listen to them with fresh ears and fresh ears. And then like, you know, I got to refine it a lot more than I've ever gotten to before. I mean, we're like what, maybe even 2.5 years into this EP thing, and I'm
Yeah.
still working on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that, I couldn't have done that with an album. So yeah, I would say I don't think it could have worked out better, at least for me. I had so much fun writing it, never felt burnt out or just like bored with the process or anything like that, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to keep doing things this way. I'm sure if I advocated for it hard enough, it could probably happen, but we'll see what happens. I have no idea, you know, but
How do you
yeah,
feel it's
I've been,
gone from like a fan perspective? Because you've been able to just like drip feed newness out
mhm,
continuously. And so like a band that
totally.
tours as frequently as you do, there's kind of
Yeah,
always something new that someone might not have heard. Has that
for sure.
worked in your favor too? And have you found that the numbers from like a streaming perspective have been higher? We had a conversation with Maddie from Memphis recently because they did a
Uh-huh.
single for every song on their album. And he's like, it's
Yeah.
the best thing we could have done because every song got
Yep.
highlighted. And I was like, well, for you guys, when you
100%.
release an EP, that's even more special because it's like, here's 4 songs and they can focus
Yep.
heavily on those 4 or 5 songs. Have you
Yeah.
noticed that in the numbers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, pretty much all of the EP songs are our top songs now, which is like so cool. It's awesome
Yeah.
to see. And I've been noticing a lot of bands like trying to try this way of doing things too, which is cool. And pretty much everyone I've talked to that's like been doing a similar thing is like, this is the best thing ever. Like, I don't know why people even make albums anymore.
Yeah.
Which I know some people have issues with that, and you know, rightfully so. So I mean, everyone has their own ways of how they like to consume media, but at the end of the day, I think for artists, like again, like I said, almost everybody I've talked to that's done it this way has been like they thought it was like revolutionary. So
Yeah. Cool.
maybe it means that we just take if we really want to do an album, maybe it just means the process we're going to need like a full year for it to happen. You know what I mean? Because yeah, I can't just sit down for a month and crank out like 12. I mean, I could probably sit down and crank out 12 songs, but that's just not the way I want to do it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I want to, plus you get to learn a lot. Like you put out a body of work and see like what songs worked, what parts worked. And then you can kind of be like, okay, like knowing that moving forward, this is what I want to try. So every single one of the EPs was like its own experiment, you know?
Yeah.
So
Fully.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
were there any moments on those that you got a response that you didn't expect? Like when you released Forgotten, that I just didn't anticipate, and I don't know if you were the same. That particular line, the "I spent my life" part, has become
Yeah.
like it's a thing unto itself. That's a moment in shows. I've seen so much like footage of that over the years since doing that on every tour you've done. Did you write that with that intention, or has that become something you didn't expect?
That was definitely something I didn't expect at all. It was kind of an accident how that happened too. It was so that part was um, originally it had like stuff behind it, like hits, like chug hits and stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that big long open part. And then one day I was just listening to it like the on the session, and I just muted like all that shit that was in the middle of it. I was like, oh, that's kind of like something different. And I showed it to the guys. They're like, yeah, actually, that's kind of cool. We all kind of collectively were just like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Like I haven't heard anything like that really. And then, so yeah, we made the call to do it. And then, yeah, I was definitely very shocked by how, you know, impacted people were by it. It was very bizarre. I definitely liked that song. Like I thought it was a cool song, but I didn't think it was like gonna be some like one of our biggest songs by any means.
Yeah. Also because it's just it's so heavy. It's so crushing the whole way through. It's
right.
I was talking with someone, and I won't throw on the bus, but it was like they were showing me new stuff they're releasing, and they're like, "Yeah, we're looking at this as
Mhm.
being like a maybe a forgotten sort of part." I was like, "Oh, that's a cool." It's now a verb. It's now like
Yeah, that's
it's an
crazy.
adjective almost of the way you can describe a part, which is yeah,
That-
that's a
That's
cool
so
little
funny.
contribution to modern music you've done there.
On the flip side of that, though, there's a song that I thought was going to blow the fuck up. I was like, that this is I've never been more sure. It's a song called "Been Here Before," and it's like the least popular song from all of the EPs.
Oh,
And I was just like, "What happened?" I was like, "Clearly, my gauge of understanding is so skewed and off." So,
do you
yeah,
feel
I don't
like
know.
that's
It's pretty
also
funny.
maybe not necessarily you? That can be the way people consume music and the way things kind of pop off now. There's no rhyme and reason to it. At least in my eyes, I
Yeah,
can say something being
no,
like, for the metal community, this will work. And I can kind of see that. We watch so
yeah,
much music and talk about it. But then there's also
right,
some stuff I'm like, what the fuck happened there? Why does everyone love this thing when they don't love that?
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think that's
It
something
is.
to do with
It's very.
like social media?
It could be. It could be that. Yeah, like you never know, like how things are gonna catch. You know what I mean? Like to me, like "Feel Nothing" is like I think it's a cool song. I think it's a pretty decent song, but like even I was kind of like blown away by the response to it. I was just like, I feel like I've done some things that I think are way cooler than this. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
sure.
I don't know. Yeah, it's very bizarre. All it takes is one person making a TikTok or something now, to really explode something for almost no reason,
Yeah.
which is weird because that's in because of that, music has kind of shifted because people are trying to make those little sound bitey
Yeah.
moments in their song, which
Yeah.
personally I think is kind of lame. But like if it doesn't happen organically, you're literally just doing it because you want it to pop off on TikTok. That's to me, it's weird. Whatever. I'm not gonna hate on somebody doing it, but it is strange. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
social media has had that impact on music to where people are trying to find like I don't know, just a weird sound to throw in their song
I
so
also
it'll
feel like
blow up.
people also analyze the music in such a different way now because of that. Like I look at the your sleep tokens, your bad omens that have
Hmm.
these like enigmatic frontmen, but people dive so hard in everything they're doing because of that. And so they might think that things are
Yeah.
doing for like a social media reason, whereas it could be, like you said, it could be a forgotten moment where it's just like, oh, that's kind of cool. Let's throw that in. And that becomes something.
Yeah.
How do you know
Hmm.
if it was written with intention to pop off or just because it was something that was like unique and original?
Totally. Yeah. It's weird. It's a strange. Yeah, we're in a strange era right now for sure.
I think I look at it as like with such a as a consumer, I look at it with like such a glass half full perspective of being like, we're getting some really
Yeah.
cool shit. And I don't care where the intention came from. If it's
Yeah.
good,
I
great. I'm only
yeah,
benefiting from that.
for sure. And yeah, and at the end of the day, if it's giving our scene like a platform and like grabbing people that typically wouldn't listen to this type of music and pulling them into the genre, then at the end of the day, that's a positive and it's cool. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird thing to observe, I guess is what I should say.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
As plot and as yourself,
Mhm.
you're a really good uh like tester of the water for a lot of people. Like I can play some plot stuff for my wife and she will
Mhm.
love it. But then there's other stuff you do that she will absolutely want to skip because
Yeah.
it's too intense.
Fair.
That's a cool thing though, that as you said, that there's something there to like engage people in there. Is that a conscious thought of all being like, cool, this song might be something that reaches more ears, or do you just kind of go at
Mhm.
every song and write what the song needs?
Um, I think maybe subconsciously I'm like well, yeah, because I sorry, I'm my brain's skipping out. Um,
Too many interviews.
I I went into writing the new songs with the intention of like, if I'm gonna write a heavy song, I'm just gonna keep it heavy all the way through because I know as a person that likes to listen to heavy music from time to time, like I don't want just a random singing chorus in the middle of a song just
Sure.
because they thought
The
that that's
structure
the
chord, yeah,
quota
yeah,
that
yeah.
they needed to fill. You know what I mean? I just think it's kind of lame. And yeah, same thing with the the more rock songs and stuff like that, it's like I don't want to just throw in a random breakdown on the bridge just because
Sure.
people think it needs to be there. Like I'd rather just pick one lane and go down it. So yeah, it's kind of in a weird way, it's kind of given us like two different fan bases. You know what I mean? Like we definitely have fans that do not fuck with the heavy songs at all. They skip them every time. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, we have fans that definitely like, they'll tolerate the rock songs, but that's definitely not what they're there for. They're there for the heavy song. You know what I mean? Like,
Interesting.
so
Yeah.
I've been noticing that a lot more at shows and stuff like that. But yeah, it's cool. I think and every now and then I'll try to find a cool, unique way to kind of merge the two. Like Spare Me, that was a fun experiment to see like what I could get away with
Yeah. With a bit
having
of
like
both.
a melodic nature to an extremely chaotic heavy song. Like it can be done in a cool creative way. I don't want things to feel like they're being forced to come together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think you can hear that on
yeah,
album sometimes being like, oh, I get what they were going for there, but I don't think it needed that.
yeah,
Or vice
yeah,
versa. Like,
totally.
yeah. Now you touched on
That was just such a
sometimes
big thing
listening.
in
Oh, you go.
yeah, that was such a big thing in metalcore for a while. It was like you'd have these bands. It was always the bridge was the breakdown,
Yep.
and it was just like, all right, dude, we get it. Like we've seen this done 1,000 times. So yeah, I don't want to fall into that kind of shit again.
I don't think you're running any risk of that. You're too creative, and the sound is
Well,
too
thanks, man.
eclectic for that. You touched
I
on only
appreciate it.
listening to heavy music sometimes. What are you listening to at the
Yeah,
moment? This is my favorite question to ask people, by the way, because it's
I've
always so eye-opening what people listen to.
I've actually the last like couple months I've actually been kind of getting back into heavy stuff again. I I really like that new Death Heaven record. Have you heard
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Dude, it is so fucking cool. I love it. It's so creative. That's probably been my go-to lately. There's a new FKA Twigs record. This isn't heavy, by the way.
no, no.
Have you heard it?
No, I haven't heard. I've actually never really got into it that much.
Yeah, her new album is incredible. Again, it's not heavy. That I've been drawing a lot of inspiration from that. That's probably the only like more pop thing I've been into. But as far as heavy, Death Heaven, I've still been circling back to the Bring Me record. Just like when I'm driving, that's just a record I love to just put on like
Cool.
really low volume, kind of just like cruise to. I really like Boundaries, that band we just toured with
Yeah,
in the US. Their newest record, I can't remember what it's called, but it's really cool. Like it has like kind of a nostalgic feel to my ear.
yes,
Like I don't know,
yes.
just
They had
it
that
makes
vibe
me think of
live too, I think.
they do, yeah, and it's cool because it's done in a way that's like it sounds very modern, but it still has like a nostalgic feeling to it. You know what I
Sure.
mean? It doesn't
Yeah,
sound outdated by anything. It still very much makes sense with what's going on now.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I'd say those two are probably the two heavy bands that I've been
And what
into the
about outside
most.
of the heavy realm? I have such eclectic taste, so I always love people when they're throwing out something they listen to that's
Yeah,
outside of the space.
there's this artist Noga Eras. I believe she's from Israel.
Okay.
It's like really bizarre pop. Like I almost don't even know how to explain it. Her voice is like really soft, almost like a Billie Eilish type thing.
Oh yeah.
She even kind of looks like Billie Eilish a little bit, but yeah, her stuff is so inventive and creative and just like goofy and weird. It's so sick. I think almost anybody I've shown it to is like fallen in love with it.
Sick.
Yeah, she's awesome. This other artist, Sev Deliza, I'm not sure where she's from. I know it's somewhere in Europe. Um, but yeah, just really weird, bizarre pop stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I don't listen to a whole lot of music, but when I do, I'm trying to like find stuff that I can hopefully find at least like a spark of inspiration from.
How hard do you find it in terms of picking bands to play with, like say the Australian tour coming up, to kind of get the right
Mhm.
lineup if you're not actively searching for the bands yourself or listening to music? How's that process come about? Do you just go by recommendations or
Um, actually, I'll be totally honest. It's usually we just take out friends. Like
great?
if we're
Love
going to
that.
be spending like a month with a group of people, we're typically going to take out people that we already know that we gel well with. You know
Yeah, I
what I
like
mean?
that.
Boundaries was one that we had heard from a lot of other people that they're just like psychopath people, like they're just absolutely insane, and they were so insane. Uh, just like really funny, goofy people. So we knew we'd get along with them. But yeah, we've taken out Cane Hill. This will be our like third time, I think, taking them out. Um, Invent we're taking out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tend to just kind of
Go with the friends.
cycle through. Yeah, we'll always just pick friends over anything else, unless there's a band that one of us is like, this band is like, they're doing something special. I think
Cool.
it'd be fun to take them out and see. Yeah, Boundaries was that. Yeah, so
I feel like you can kind of tell when a tour is made of friends as well. Like the energy of the tour
absolutely
feels different. Even from like a spectator
yeah
perspective, you can see being like, oh, they're having fun. They want to be here. It's not just
yeah
run through the motions each night. There's
for
like a
sure.
cool energy that comes from that.
Yeah, I mean, touring in general isn't the most exciting, fun thing anyways. So like you want to add characters to kind of like spark some funny fires,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
Well, dude,
gotta keep it
we're so
interesting.
stoked to have you coming back out here. Also, you're playing
I'm so
some
stoked.
new rooms and some fucking like
Yeah,
big venues, which is I think awesome. It goes show that what you've been doing the last couple of years is paying off because that audience is just growing and growing.
yeah. I think Good Things was like a really big thing for us over there. Playing those shows like really made us realize like, oh damn, we like absolutely have to get back there as soon as possible. But I mean, we've always loved Australia. I think Australia has always, like, since the first time we came over, and like since then, Australia has always been our favorite market. Um, I don't know what's going on over there. It just seems like you guys
We're goofy.
appreciate heavy. Yeah, yeah, you guys appreciate heavy music. I feel like more than almost anywhere else. So yeah, it's always for us. It's always felt like a second home. So it's gonna be cool coming over and playing some bigger rooms. I honestly haven't even looked at. I know I played at least one with Dayseeker like a year or two ago.
Yeah,
The Forum in Melbourne.
yeah.
But aside from that, I don't think I've heard of or seen any of the other venues.
You
So
haven't played the Sydney venue. I know that.
okay,
Obviously, we've seen you every time you've been out here, so I've been able to like keep a list of where you played, and you have just
yeah,
yeah,
that's
the
awesome.
Sydney and more is beautiful. It's kind of has like a forum sort of vibe. It's like a old
Oh, cool.
theater looking thing. It's stunning.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been kind of doing this new thing where I just like I used to kind of look. Sometimes I'd look up venues that would be playing on tour. I just like don't look at all ever anymore, and just kind of like let myself be surprised the day of showing up.
cool.
It's kind of cool.
The cool part of I think playing somewhere like Sydney's a very spread out market, particularly. So you can play in like
Hmm.
a completely new area and discover new things. Where you're
Yeah,
playing here, it's in a really cool area. There's a lot of like
sweet,
cool stuff to do around the venue. So loading in and
awesome.
having some time there's actually some cool shit to explore around rather than just being stuck in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah, I love that.
So we'll get some hang
Nothing worse
time.
than being stuck in a shitty area for a day.
Yeah, just stuck at the venue because there's nothing else to do.
Exactly, it happens
So
a lot.
yeah, I can imagine. Well, dude, as I said, we're pumped to have you come back out. It's an exciting announcement for us, and we look forward to hang time when you get here.
Yeah, you better come to at least a couple shows. I want to
You know we'll
hang.
be there, of course.
Oh yeah,
All
oh
right,
yeah,
brother. Good to catch up.
awesome. Yeah, you too, man. Take care.